Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Wednesday, June 17th, 2026. The Public Works Advisory Committee meeting is now in session. May I have a roll call, please?
Kevin Watlett,
Excuse?
Mary Lallo,
Here.
Bill Fath,
Here.
George Robin,
Here.
Scott Peterson,
Present.
Pam Hobbs,
Excused?
Bob Galick,
Here.
Chad Dagley,
Here.
James Myers,
Excused?
Wendy Prakop.
Here.
We have a agenda in front of us. Could I get a motion to accept? First, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, we have the agenda in front of us. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have approval of minutes from January 21st, March 18th, and April 15th of the Public Works Advisory Committee meetings. Can I have a motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have citizen comments. Are there any citizen comments? No citizen comments. Any old business? No old business. New business. First item is electric and motorized bicycles and play vehicles update. Jeff Cook.
Good evening, members. My name is Lieutenant Jeff Cook with the O'Fallon Police Department. I've been with the department for a little over 27 years. I was tasked with being part of helping to create this ordinance or modification for a variety of reasons. To introduce with me to my left is also Officer Nicole Savant. She's a patrol officer, happens to also work on the shift that I'm on, and again was a key assistant in drafting this ordinance and a lot of the research that went into some of the other agencies that we worked with and kind of used as our own reference material. The biggest thing, I guess, to start out, I'll pull our PowerPoint up here, hopefully, is part of what precipitated this is just an ongoing number of calls that we have been seeing probably over the last year or so, really, if not longer. But it seems last spring was when it really kind of kicked off, and last summer was kind of a rough summer dealing with a lot of these vehicles. And then it kind of fell off through the winter, so it was one of those things where it kind of fell into the back of the mind a little bit. But we did start working on this just after the first of the year and recognized challenges we were having, but a lot of it kind of came from residents, individuals just like yourself, when you stopped at the gas station or to go get something to eat here in town when you're working and you're approached by residents and you get asked questions like, what can we do about these? What can we do about these? And it was one of those things. Not only were we getting calls for service on concerns, is we were getting approached directly by residents. So we'll go into this a little bit. So the mini bike problem, as we're referring to it, current O'Fallon Ordinance, Chapter 375, it failed to address a couple of things, which is what our kind of goal or motivation was behind this. There was no clear definition of a motorized play vehicle, and that is really a matter of our ordinances keeping up with technology. These devices weren't around 20 years ago. They weren't around when I was a kid. I'd love to have had one too. I get the appeal, 100%. There was no singular ordinance governing the usage of play vehicles such as mini bikes. There were references in different sections within city code, but it didn't make it easy for officers to try to research and enforce, or even a resident who was looking to try and look it up for themselves. So things were referenced in different areas. Again, the outdated definition failed to account for the modern electric play vehicle, and that modern electric play vehicle is really an ordinance, or is really a definition that we have borrowed from many other agencies and how we're defining this between a bicycle, a motorized scooter, and these motorized play vehicles, because different size motors and different size maximum speeds all fall into these different categories. And a lot of these bikes or these vehicles that we're seeing just weren't clearly defined. A lot of things that you'll look at will fall under, as most of us, my age or better, can understand 49 cc's. But that's something. But then when you go into the statutes, it talks about 3 brake horsepower. Okay, well, that's now a whole nother term, so we had to research. And again, we had to find a language that worked, that everyone could understand. The neighboring jurisdictions several of them have already enacted ordinances to define and regulate the mini bikes. City of St. Peters, City of Cottleville, City of Lake St. Louis. I know we've garnered quite a bit of media attention lately, but in all honesty, we weren't the first. We were somewhat behind the power curve on this realistically. Some of our neighbors were ahead. The City of Wentzville has also addressed motorized play vehicles. They took a bit of a different stance, a more lenient stance than what St. Peters, Cottleville, Lake St. Louis, and what now OFallon has done. The calls for service really kind of came out of Officer Savant doing a little bit of research into our database and looking up the calls for service that we've gotten for these, because there were times it felt like it was kind of geographical, like we were getting a majority calls in certain places, but maybe that was just on our shift. And what this map really laid out is, when you look at it, it's everywhere in the city. I mean, we're covered from all the way up Highway P, Royal Oak subdivision, all the way down in the southwest corner, down to where the new subdivision, the Harvest and Wingate, Country Shire are at, the Monticello's to the south, and the little areas that you see in the middle that are blank spots where there are no dots, that's going to be Dardenne Prairie. So that's the only reason there's not blue dots in those spots. As of the time of this PowerPoint was put together, we had 262 calls for service in regards to juvenile issues. There was a good share of these that were mini bikes. Sometimes how our dispatchers code these can be a little bit deceptive, or it may not show up if you're not querying everything. So this was the best numbers that we could come up with, that we felt confident, but I do believe that there are more out there that we've taken. 8% of those 262 were accidents. And most recently, we've had a couple of notable accidents with injury. One specifically off Canalst at Pearview, where a young man was riding down the sidewalk and just kept on humming along, doing approximately 25, 30 miles an hour on the sidewalk. A lady was operating her car, driving down Canalst, came up to turn right onto Pearview, knew she had passed this electric motorcycle, several seconds back, felt she should have plenty of time to make the right-hand turn like she was legally allowed to do. And sure enough, as she made the right-hand turn, this kid never slowed down or stopped, ran right into the side of her car. He was transported for injuries. Just 10 days ago, while we were on duty, there was a young man out at 10:30 at night who went out with a friend after mom went to sleep, and they hopped on their little electric motorcycles, were flying around the neighborhood, and the young man, I guess, kind of looked down for a second at either whether it be his phone that may have been attached to it or the little digital display on it, but he looked down, didn't realize he had adjusted his lane of travel by about 3 feet, and ran into a parked car doing a little less than 20 miles an hour. He was also transported for injury and laid unconscious in the street for beyond 30 seconds of video that I watched. So these are the concerns that we had, which is what we brought to the city council, and we worked with the city attorney on trying to draft the ordinance changes that were made. So specifically, the addition of a motorized play vehicle to the city code refers to, and I'll read it here, a motorized play vehicle includes devices commonly referred to as mini motorcycles, pocket bikes, motorized scooters, electric skateboards, including one wheels, go-karts, and any other vehicle that is capable of transporting a person at in excess of 5 miles per hour, that is self-propelled by a motor or engine and is not otherwise defined in Missouri Revised Statute or Municipal Code. as a motor vehicle, motor bicycle, bicycle, electric bicycle, or motorized bicycle. This definition does not apply to motorized wheelchairs or any other similar device, mobility device designed for use with individuals with physical disabilities. So those folks are not on the list. The thing that I kind of want to point out in the midst of this is, though we listed off several things under the play vehicle, the things where it's listed as otherwise motor vehicle, motorcycle, bicycle, and electric bicycle, or motorized bicycle are all things that we kind of were familiar with, and they've been in the code all along. Those are things that have been allowed. The motorized bicycles, most commonly, if anybody remembers what like a little zip motor is, which was a little electric motor you could attach to the front tire of a bike and it would help pull it along with a small battery. Or somebody would take one of those kind of like a weed eater size motor and they'd mount it down in between. Or it was kind of like like I said, kind of like a motorcycle, but it was technically an electric bicycle. Those are the things that are all defined in other places, but what's listed up top, these things were not covered. A lot of these other items, the motor vehicle, motorcycle, some of the electric, the motorized bicycles can travel speeds well enough that they can be registered with the state and plated when it comes to specifically the scooter side. So creating a new ordinance to deal with the governance of motorized play vehicles is what our goal was. The motorized play vehicle would be prohibited on any street, highway, roadway, or sidewalk in the city of O'Fallon or within the boundaries of any city park. Part of the reason that we have left that where it includes being prohibited on sidewalks is because there's current code in another part of the city code. There's a section that addresses behavior for a person operating a bicycle and their requirement to yield the right of way to pedestrians or other traffic. So the conflict that we had was there's another part of our city code that says basically it's okay to ride your bike on the sidewalk. So we kind of had to leave that in there at the moment until we can go in and modify that code when it looks to removing these from the sidewalk, if that's the goal or the will of the city council. The revised definition of motorized bicycle, this is where it gets back to that 3 brake horsepower I talked about, or 49 cc's. The magic number we've teased Mr. O'Keefe, our city attorney, about is the number 2237. All of these electric vehicles, electric motorcycles, scooters, whatever they may want to be, the equivalent of 49 cc's in an electric vehicle is 2,237 watts. So if a parent is at home trying to figure out what their kid has, is you should be able to look at any device you've purchased and there will be a label or a sticker or something on there that says exactly what the wattage of that device is. So 2,237 watts is what puts something beyond what's equivalent to 50 cc's or 49 cc's is acceptable. So your old school mopeds are that maximum 49 cc's. Some of the bikes that have been encountered out on the road, Officer Savant stopped a young man who had one that was at least 5,000 watts. And this was capable of traveling over 55 miles an hour. And he had come from a southern part of O'Fallon and was up over off Highway K and Fallon Parkway. You know, he was about 8 miles from home and riding side roads and streets and whatever path he took to get there. But the device itself was capable of, like I said, in excess of 50 miles an hour. All right. What we have marked down here under illegal vehicles, there is one item that I will point out that can fall into our legalized category. It depends on the wattage and the size, which is that one in the bottom left with the brown seat. I stopped a gentleman just the other night on one like this, and his falls well within what's considered a Class 2 e-bike. This one has pedals. The majority of the ones that we find that don't fall within the ordinance, as you look at all the rest of them, there's no pedal. There's no human power. There's no ability to human power it. Other than the one on the top, like I said, you can kind of tell this one's a little bulkier than that little Razor scooter you may have bought your child or your grandchild at some point in the last 20 years, because I remember getting one for my son. You know, put him on it, let it wear him out, you know, start pushing. But the rest of these are ones that, like I said, will travel at speeds that are just and are not being operated safely by young people. Penalty for the violation, one of the adjustments that we will make to this as well, but right now we've got it listed, persons 15 and a half years and older can receive a traffic summons. A lot of times you'll hear when it comes to juveniles in the media is that the age where someone becomes a juvenile to an adult is 18, which is absolutely correct. The only time that that does not apply is when it's a traffic ordinance, a traffic violation. And when you think about it, if you're 16 years old and you're driving your car, you can get a traffic ticket. So this falls under the same thing. Any criminal charges, a juvenile cannot be charged through traffic court. But as long as you're old enough to get your permit, then you're old enough to get a traffic ticket. Persons younger than 15 and a half would be forwarded to the juvenile court because they cannot receive one, so that paperwork would be just a little bit different. The other aspect that was added on here was the ordinance regarding parental responsibility. And I think this is where, again, a lot of this could have been culled early on. But what we're seeing right now are parents that are they're purchasing these things, kids are going out, and they're not really appreciating the speeds that they travel or how far some of their kids are traveling on them and the way they're operating them. So a parent who fails to exercise effective control over a minor, resulting in multiple violations, would be subject to a violation under the parental responsibility with a maximum fine of $500. The minimum fine is not listed. That would be up to the judge, the municipal judge. So we don't have a minimum listed, but there is a maximum, so it's not something that has no cap on it. In addition to the cost of the ordinance violation, motorized play vehicles may be towed to the owner's residence at their expense. If there's no other reasonable means to remove it, it could be towed back to a tow yard. Our intent, we have a tow contract with Budget Towing here in town. If you can't come pick it up, then we can coordinate with Budget Towing, have them come out, and we can have it towed back to your house, and you pay Budget Towing for that time. If you say, I'm absolutely not coming, I won't come, do whatever with that thing you want, whatever the parent may choose to say, if they refuse to come get it and come get their kid, well, then we'll just tow it and we'll make sure the kid gets home safely. Okay, that ends my official part of this. So we are definitely open to any questions you may have. I'll let Officer Savant speak because I know there's some things we don't have in the PowerPoint. One of the things we definitely want to clarify is, again, that the e-bikes, the traditional e-bikes, if you go online, there are 3 classes of e-bikes that are out there. These bikes will all have pedals. They will have a maximum electric wattage of 750 watts on them. A Class 1 and Class 2 e-bike, again, they still require or have the capability of being human propelled, so they have to have pedals. But that 750 watts is the maximum on a legal e-bike. The term e-bike is used a lot when referencing all of these. But again, there was only one of them in that photo I showed you with the brown seat that had pedals. That one was the only one that would fall into the category of most likely an acceptable e-bike, not knowing what size motor was on that one specifically. Questions? But I'm going to put Officer Savant up and put her on the hot seat.
Any questions? Go ahead, Ann. Go ahead.
I haven't noticed anything in here about golf carts. Are they going to address that, of driving golf carts on the sidewalks?
So currently, golf carts are only allowed on a multi-use path greater than 6 feet in width. So they shouldn't be operated on residential sidewalks if the sidewalk is less than 6 feet. So that would be a violation presently. So that it's already written in the code. There's just a lot of, if an officer's driving by and you don't have a tape measure basically to look at how thick the sidewalk is, kind of judging whether that operation would be legal or illegal. But yes, we already have all the ordinance codes in order to deal with the operation of golf carts on sidewalks. So yes, technically a golf cart should only be operated on something that's greater than 6 feet.
Are golf carts required to have license plates on them?
No, you can license some golf carts, but they are not required to have a license plate on them. Your operator should be greater than 16 years old with a license, though, and it should be insured. Doesn't have to have a license, but the golf cart has to be insured. So, but they have to be greater than 16.
Thank you.
George?
Yeah, a couple of questions. What about like gas-powered motorized miniature bikes cruising up and down the streets?
Yeah, so in one of the examples there was like a little Coleman, which most of those are like 125 cc gas-powered bicycles. That would fall under the mini motorcycle, the pocket bike. Those were always illegal because that's basically an illegal motorcycle. So if it's gas-powered, it's 100% illegal if it doesn't have plates on it, because then it falls under all of the same statutes that a motorcycle would have to. So it's going to have plates, it's going to have lights, it's going to have mirrors, so everything that would normally be required of a motorcycle. And then your operator would have to have a motorcycle endorsement as well as a valid license and a helmet if they're under 26 years of age.
Okay, the ones I've seen cruising around our neighborhood, nothing like that.
No, they're typically the little Coleman ones that you get from like Farm and Home or some of the other places that have them. They're pretty inexpensive, but they are most of them are roughly 125 cc's, which would greatly exceed that 49 cc expectation. So yeah, they would be illegal, and those have been already able to be stopped under motorcycle code.
Okay, so if we see like a motorized vehicle, or like an e-bike or little gas-powered motorbikes cruising around the neighborhoods, what do? Do we call O'Fallon Police or?
Yes, sir. Yeah, you would call our non-emergency line, which is the 636-240-3200. You can also contact the department and ask for an extra patrol request. We do those through kind of like our traffic complaints division, and that would allow officers, if you're seeing them in your neighborhood, they're out from 3 to 4 in a large group, and this is kind of what we're seeing. We can put in extra patrol requests, and then as a patrol officer, or if one of our special operations divisions officers are available, they can come out to the neighborhood to be proactively patrolling at that time in order to try to address the concerns as they come up.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Scott?
Yes, hello. Thank you for coming here tonight, and it's very timely, the ordinance. And I have a question about the the motorized scooters. Were you seeing a lot of problems with those? I don't know how fast they go, or there's been people hit by them, etc. Because that seems like kind of like a borderline device to be in the code, but maybe could you elaborate on what decisions were made for that?
Yeah, for sure. So motorized scooters were already illegal. So they have been already illegal before this ordinance was passed. So before the new ordinance even came into being, they were already illegal per our code to be operated on any sidewalks, streets, roadways, highways in the city of O'Fallon. They're also illegal in city parks. Majority of motorized scooters are going to operate someplace between 10 to 20 miles per hour. We have seen some of them that are going to be in excess of 1,500 watts. Those are capable of speeds greater than 30. With a motorized scooter, because you're standing vertically, there is a lot less control over that in terms of just your ability to control the bike, shorter wheelbase, everything. So when accidents do occur with them, it's typically your kids leaving the motorized scooter, they're crashing out pretty good. They don't have the protection that even a little bike will give them. We do see that the motorized scooters are typically operated slower because majority of them aren't as fast, but they're still a concern. They're still being operated in a dangerous manner. Those kids fly through the stop signs the same as the ones with the mini bikes. They're typically in these little kind of like little e-bike gangs, mini bike gangs, and you'll have a mix of the motorized bicycles and motorized scooters and stuff like that. I will say the scooters are the ones that a lot of people have had questions about, but even before this ordinance, they were already illegal. So this ordinance didn't change anything with regard to motorized scooters.
And also, we had a couple comments about the golf carts, and perhaps maybe there could be another presentation about those, or in the future, that would be very helpful. At least for me, I mean, I was on a multi-use path and I almost got hit by a golf cart. So I just don't really care for them to be allowed, but that's my opinion. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Thank you very much.
Yep. Any other questions?
Nope.
All right. Thank you guys very much.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda, environmental service recycling update, Jim Willenza.
Good to see you, Wendy.
Good evening. How are y'all tonight?
Good.
Good. Well, just here to give you a quick update on our recycling program. Everything seems to be going extremely well. Some of you may not have been on the thing when we were going through changing back over to single stream. But back about a year and a half ago, we changed back over to single stream in a partnership with City of St. Peters. And since then, things have really improved. We were doing about 8% of our city residents were participating in recycling back in early 25 when we started going back. And currently we are at about 48% participation. So we've really increased. So really happy with that. Contamination has been extremely low. I mean, you're always going to have some contamination. And some of it's not even trash, it's just that it's not recyclable. Somebody thought it might be, but it's not. But that's expected, that's gonna happen. So we're happy with everything that's going on. We were at about 100 tons a month before we started again about a year and a half ago. And we're averaging probably real close to 400 tons a month now in recyclables. So a lot of that product obviously is coming back out of the trash. So we have less tonnage coming into the trash, so that helps pay for the program as well. But other than that, everything's going really well, and we hope to continue to increase the participation and hopefully continue to educate the residents on what can go in and what can't go in. Any questions?
Any questions?
Yes, ma'am.
It's not really pertaining to what you just said,
Okay.
but we have a discussion in our home, and plastic bottles that have caps on them, you screw them on and off.
Right?
Can you dump those in with the tops on or
Yeah.
not?
Yes. Not the answer you want? No, then.
No, it's not, and it's in favor of my husband.
You know, honestly, the way they shred those things, ultimately that cap's coming off anyway. So there is nothing, you're not saving anything. More than likely, if that cap was off, we may even lose it because there's a screening process that breaks glass and drops glass through. The caps are small. They could end up falling through the crack, and we end up losing that plastic sometimes anyway. So yeah, screwing them on is fine. Sorry.
Anyone else? Go ahead.
I had talked to Jim when I came in, and I had commented on our little postcard we got recently of the recycled items, and I'm wondering, I told him, I said, I hope everyone picked up on it, that there was a new item listed on there, which was your plastic cups, which include the solo cups that can be recycled, and I was really excited about that, and he said, there's going to be another mailing coming out, but I hope people pick up on that you can recycle your plastic cups, you can recycle cups coming from restaurants, the plastic cups, all of that can be recycled now, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, like the McDonald's clear plastic cups, all that can go in now, all under polypropylene. I think it was they wanted to get the regular stuff out first before they threw that in and they want to continue to add products. So working with the recycling partnership, who we went and got a grant through, they're the ones doing all this, and they're paying for all these postcards going out. So this will be the third round of postcards going to every residence. I think it's going out next week or maybe the week after. So you'll see another one. So that'd be the last one that I'm aware of. And it'll just be reintroducing everything else again, just as another reminder that it can go in there.
Two questions, Jim.
Sure.
First question, black plastic under the old policy was a no-no. What is the situation with black plastic now? Because I know it's getting in there.
It is. And even from the beginning of this, I guess the honest answer is I don't think they prefer it. It's not usable the same way as some of the other products are, but they are definitely not telling you not to put it in. They'll find a use for it.
Okay. Now, the other day, I saw one of your drivers and truck dump a load, and then he got up in there and pulled out, it looked like a pillowcase it was full. And he dropped it next to the cart and went on his way. How did he know that was in there?
Cameras.
He has cameras.
We have cameras on all the trucks. The drivers they don't check every home, because obviously that would take a lot of time to do that. But you get to know your route, and you get to know who's a good recycler, who might be iffy, or who's got kids home that might be doing the wrong thing. So we do pick up the lid before we dump it at most homes. But again, if somebody's wanting to put something in there, they might have it on the bottom. You're not going to see it just by lifting the lid. But the cameras, there's 7 cameras on every truck.
Okay.
And one of them is pointing in the hopper. So when that can dumps, he can see up in there and see what's in it. So a lot of times you can't get it, whatever it was. Maybe it was styrofoam or something that shouldn't have been in there. But he just calls customer service. They'll document it, and they'll make a phone call to that resident and let them know, hey, just so you know, next time you can't put styrofoam or you can't put the bag in there that was in there. So it's all good information, and those cameras are really helping us a lot, because the people that are putting the wrong thing in get notified immediately.
Okay, and in the regular trash, I know a lot of styrofoam is dumped in the regular trash. Mm-hmm. What happens to that styrofoam when it gets to the station?
In the trash?
Yeah,
It just goes in the landfill.
goes to the landfill.
Yeah. Yeah, at the transfer station, the truck just gets dumped on the floor, gets pushed into a tractor trailer, and hauled straight to the landfill.
Okay.
There's just not a lot of good options for styrofoam. You know, if you were a mass producer of it, you could probably find somebody to take, that kind of product. But in residential, it's just not, it just doesn't have a use for anything.
Okay. Thank you, Jim.
Sure.
Any other questions? Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Next item is current path projects. Lily Thomas presenting.
Hi, thanks for having me tonight. My name is Lily Thomas. I'm a project manager in the engineering department, and I will be presenting on some of our current path projects. These are all projects I'm specifically working on, so I'm excited to present to you tonight. The 3 projects I will be talking about are the Twin Island Trailhead, the Darden Greenway, Sports Park to Bluebird Meadow Park project, and the Highway N Shared Use Path. Here's kind of just a map of our area, and it does have all 3 of my projects on here. The first project I'm talking about tonight is the Twin Island Trailhead. It has previously been referred to as the Darden Greenway Connector or the Bush Connector. This is our engineer rendering of the project before we got started. Sorry. You can see that there is a new trailhead parking lot, a few different trail connections with a walking turnaround, a path that leads up to the Technology Drive Bridge, crosses the bridge, and then connects back down to an existing path. And there is a path section that goes under the 2 existing bridges there and ends in a turnaround circle for future expansion. When we first started thinking about this project, it was before I worked here, but we had first pitched a standalone pedestrian bridge across Darden Creek. There's a few things that come up when you think of a standalone pedestrian bridge across Darden Creek. We have to be very particular to achieve a no rise if we do something like that, to not affect the creek upstream or downstream. And it's just very challenging to do like a long spanning bridge over that area. So through scoping, we were able to partner with MoDOT. They had been wanting to rebuild the Technology Drive Bridge. It was on their radar. So we partnered with them to redo the Technology Drive Bridge and put the shared use path across the bridge. So that was really great for us in our project. MoDOT was really good to work with. And the project has been running smoothly. We're actually in construction now. I don't know if you guys have seen the Technology Drive Bridge is reopened, which is awesome. A lot of residents are happy about that. And the project is nearing completion. So. The total construction costs came in at about $3,870,000. MoDOT construction costs for the bridge, came in around $2,169,799. The City of O'Fallon's construction costs were about $1,700,000. We did receive a TAP award, so federal funding, in the amount of $657,798. $539,000 of that went specifically to construction. The other portion went to design. We will also be receiving $275,000 from Great Rivers Greenway, and they previously gave us $50,000 towards the design of the project. Here is some just pictures of progress during construction. My first picture is in November. It just shows the columns for the bridge and the beams. Our construction started in July, and like I said, we're wrapping up about now. And then the second picture is April, when the bridge is fully formed and nearing completion. Here's just some pictures of the bridge deck. You can see all the rebar for the steel reinforcement inside the bridge deck. The city actually hired the engineer that did all the design work. So we handled, along with our consultant, all the design of the bridge, the path, everything. It had to be sent to MoDOT for a review and approval, but through this partnership, we were able to keep our design consultant on, and they designed a bridge to MoDOT standards, which was pretty cool. The second picture you can see in March, all the concrete is poured. The separation between the roadway on the left and the shared use path on the right, which would then receive a railing in the future. This is the walking turnaround area. It's almost like a walking roundabout. On the left is just in January. It was still dirt and rock, and they were getting ready to pave it. The second picture is in May, after they did the landscaping, the paving's done. They have some seating down, landscaping, and we're getting close to opening it up. Here are just some more pictures of the completed bridge, roadway. We have a lot of extensive fencing on areas where the slope is very steep. We wouldn't want people walking up and down, that kind of keeping them on the path. Here are some of the pictures of just the nearly completed project. The upper picture, you can see the trail that will go under the bridge, the turnaround circle, and then above it is kind of like a pavilion area. And the lower picture is the pavilion area with the picnic table and the benches that actually just got installed today. And one of the most exciting things I wanted to talk to you about is the ribbon cutting event for this is next Tuesday. It will be from 2 to 4. We are asking people who want to attend, to park at the St. Charles Community College Darden Creek campus parking lots, and the Greenway trails actually connect right at the end of the parking lots there. It's a short 0.32 mile walk to the trailhead, so we're inviting people to come out and participate and check out this new trailhead. The bridge is currently open, but we have kept the parking lot and trailhead area closed until next Tuesday because we are still installing wayfinding signs and a few other things down there. But it's looking really great. Do you guys have any questions on this project? Okay. Here is just a map showing on the left is the project I just talked about. In between that project and the next project I'm speaking about, the next project I'm speaking about is on the right, but in between is Bluebird Meadow Park. So both of these projects are connected through Darden Prairie's Bluebird Meadow Park. And it pretty much makes a connection from one side of O'Fallon to the other through Darden Prairie, which is pretty cool. It'll be a really expansive greenway system through here. The next project is Darden Greenway Sports Park to Bluebird Meadow Park. This is a 12-foot wide shared use path stretching from O'Fallon Sports Park to Bluebird Meadow Park. This project has a new bridge on the Darden Prairie side of the project. So Bluebird Meadow Park is in the left corner of the map. We have to cross Darden Creek with a new pedestrian bridge. And then we have a few other crossings that I'll talk about also. The total project construction costs are coming in at $4,879,890. This project has not been bid yet, so these are just numbers based on the engineer's estimate. Our City of O'Fallon construction costs are coming in around $2,129,890. We did receive a $900,000 federal TAP funding award, and we are expecting to receive large contributions from Great Rivers Greenway and St. Charles County. The Great Rivers Greenway contribution is expected to be $1,400,000. Currently, we have already on file an agreement with St. Charles County for $450,000 towards constructions, but they've been in conversations with us and they'd like to contribute more in 2027, so they're trying to put it in their budget to potentially give us up to $1,289,945, which would be a 50-50 match with us for construction costs, which would make our construction costs go down to that same amount. So I'm kind of just going to walk through the project piece by piece because this is a longer project. It just stretches a longer area. So Bluebird Meadow Park is technically on the Darden Prairie side of the project. We were able to partner with GRG and Darden Prairie to get conversations about this project going, and since we were able to secure the TAP fundings, it just made sense to connect to existing path. We didn't want to build a path to nowhere, so having a good stopping point was important to us. So on the far left, you can see I highlighted just the connection to the existing Bluebird Meadow Park. Right after that, there is going to be a 150-foot span prefabricated bridge, and this is going to be a bridge with a concrete deck made of metal. It's going to be a really nice bridge. On from there, we're going to traverse on the back side of a golf course. It's kind of like a wooded area, but it's between the golf course that exists there and then Darden Creek. We have another tributary crossing there made out of box culverts, and that crosses us back kind of to the O'Fallon side. On the O'Fallon side, we go past another golf course, and again, passing by Darden Creek. At Darden Creek, we're going to be doing a lot of bank stabilization and erosion control. So really, creek erosion is a big issue and concern for a lot of people in that area. That's why most of those areas you can't build there. It's a floodplain area. But because of the enhancements we will be doing, we were able to build there. At the crossing at Sports Park Drive, we are adding a crossing with rapid flashing beacons. It's not really a blind turn, but it is a turn where we want anyone driving through the park to see that there's a crossing there. It also has rumble strip approaches on either side, so as you're getting closer to the crosswalk, you'll feel rumble strips before you get there. It then traverses through the park, past the parking lots for the soccer fields there. And then you come to the area of the park where there is an existing concession stand. We are planning to add a rest area there, and kind of like there's a seat wall, there's some bike racks, and some signage at a trash can. So kind of just like a nice resting place in the middle of the park. This is one of the only connections through this part of the Darden Greenway where it would have access to a restroom. So we are able to tell people that they can use the restroom here and then continue either direction on the Greenway, which would be nice. The last section of this project is the project going up to Highway K. We were able to do an underpass under Highway K, which that was a big point of the project. Originally, we tried to go up onto Highway K, and we were trying to coordinate with MoDOT how to make that work with basically how to make the existing traffic patterns work, if we had to switch any kind of lanes. It was very hard to figure out, and we were struggling with making it work just because the current volume of traffic's in the area. We were able to get permission from them to do the underpass, though, which we think is a really good option and probably safer and easier for pedestrians. Both of these access points reach up to connect to the side of Highway K where there's existing bike lanes. So if you were trying to travel north on the bike lane, you would go up the right side, jump onto the bike lanes, and continue north. If you were trying to go south, you would go up the left side, jump on, go south. Those are really only one-way bike lanes, so we do have signage kind of telling people, if you go on this way, you're only supposed to be going north. If you go this way, you're obviously only supposed to be going south. There is a turnaround circle here too. This is St. Charles County property, and they have plans to expand east in the future from this point. So hopefully we'd get more trail going east in the future. That is my last slide for this project. This is another map, the map I showed at the beginning, but it shows the vaster greenway system that Great Rivers Greenway has going. You could see that these paths exist. They extend basically from our Technology Drive Bridge project, our Twin Island Trailhead, which is the bottom left, all the way north through all these various greenway trails. Kind of the central circled project is the next project I'll be talking about, which is the Highway N shared use path. Does anyone have any questions on the sports park project? Yeah.
Yes, hi, Lily.
Yes.
When is the time frame on the bridge over Darden Creek? I guess between Darden Prairie and O'Fallon.
I don't have a time frame on that yet. Full project construction is expected to take about 9 months. Since that's a prefab bridge, really we just have to build the abutments and everything, and then they're going to crane the bridge on, make sure everything's right, and set it in place. This is not on any roadway, so it's kind of just back in the trees. Impacts to traffic are probably pretty minimal, so I don't know time frame. We're trying to get construction for the project started at the end of this year, but it could be anywhere within that 9-month time frame after they get started to put the bridge in place.
Okay, thank you. And
Yep.
so you mentioned like a tributary right there. So is it going to go over the tributary too, or
I'm not sure the I'm not sure the name of the tributary, but it's that right there past Bluebird Meadow Park. So you're crossing Darden Creek, and it's just the next tributary over. So, and it's a double box culvert. That's I think they're pretty large, 10-foot by 7-foot box culverts. So it'll be a pretty sturdy crossing.
And then one more question on the Highway K, where you're going to go underneath. I know there's been a big project that's been going on for quite some time. I don't know what they're doing, but some big black pipe.
Yeah, so they are doing some water line work over there, and that's actually not the city. We did coordinate with them. They're going to send us as-built shop drawings when they're done, but it shouldn't affect anywhere where our project is going. So we've kind of been coordinating with them as they've been building. They do plan to send us plans when they're done just to make sure everything still works together, but we shouldn't have any problems with that. And hopefully they'd be done before we got there. That would be the plan.
So will it be on the Darden Creek side where the blue way is? Like when you go underneath K, there's a blue way
So the blue,
access?
yeah, the Blue Way connections are nearby, but they're on the other side of Darden Creek. So this brings us up on the left, I would say the left side of Darden Creek, and the Blue Way connections are on the right side. There are some potential for path connections through Sports Park in the future to get to that Blue Way access point, but it's not part of this project. Originally, we did have our project going that direction when we were thinking about going up onto K, but it just didn't work out that way for this one. So we'll keep it in mind for the future. I know we've been talking about it. The Blue Way is really great. A lot of people like to use it. So
Thank you.
yes, thank you.
Any other questions?
I do have one more section really quick.
Go ahead.
So the last project I'm talking about is the Highway N shared use path. This is a new path coming, and we're in the design phase. This is a path stretching from Spring Orchard Drive to Meadow Lake Drive. It is a 10-foot wide to 14-foot wide shared use path in this area. The main thing is a lot of residents are traveling in the right-of-way currently. So there's no path there now, but people travel through the grass in the right-of-way to get where they're wanting to go. We've heard a lot of people requesting a path in this area, so we were able to start design work. St. Charles County was actually able to help us with the funding for the design, so we kind of kicked that off early last year into early this year. But it will have high visibility crosswalks through all the residential streets and ADA compliant curb ramps and truncated domes to make it very accessible. This path is really unique because it kind of ties in to the back side of O'Fallon's path system, and it kind of, like I showed on this previous map, the project I'm talking about is the one highlighted in orange. It ties into all those greenway systems that then go up north. So there's quite a few existing paths right now through Cottleville and the surrounding areas that we'll be able to tie into with this Highway N path project. So prelim plans are complete as of early this year. Like I said, St. Charles County was able to help us fund the design to get it started, and this actually helped us get a more desirable federal funding application. We did apply for this last year, and we did not receive federal funding. This year, we thought with the design completed, we would try again. A lot of times, if you ask for construction funds only, you're going to have a more favorable application. And we just got word that this project is recommended for federal funding on the 2027 through 2030 TIP. So we are hopeful that we'll get the paperwork for that soon and be moving forward with the project. The design consultants are currently working on utility coordinations and environmental review. That's a long process that we have to coordinate with MoDOT just to make sure everything falls within regulations for them. The federal funding schedule we submitted sets us up for right-of-way in 2027 and then construction in 2028. And then the city of Cottleville and St. Charles County have both agreed to partner with us for construction as well. The total construction costs are estimated at $1,424,827. These are estimates because this project has not been bid yet, so this is just based off the engineer's design. We applied for and received an agreement with St. Charles County for the design for $158,880. That was an 80-20 split for design. We then applied for federal TAP funds in the amount of $379,000, and we were recommended for the TIP, so that's exciting. We also applied for County Road Board funding, and often if you receive federal funding, County Road Board will take you on for funding. So we applied for $401,000 $958 from them, and we're expected to receive $361,958 to go towards construction. That would be an 80-20 split. And then any of the costs associated with upgrading a path from 10 feet to 14 feet wide, that would be paid for by the city of Cottleville. Cottleville requested that we increase the path width through that area because they do currently see a lot of traffic of people from Cottleville traveling into O'Fallon through that area. So it's kind of at the borderline of O'Fallon and Cottleville. Even though that the city extends to Meadow Lake, Cottleville actually owns some of the right-of-way in that area. So we were able to start talks with them, and they agreed that they would pay for the additional costs to upgrade from a standard 10-foot path to a 14-foot path. And here are just some closer looks at the path. Starting on the left, that is Spring Orchard Drive. It's going to go east then to Longwheat Drive. And from Spring Orchard to Longwheat, we are doing a 10-foot wide shared use path. And 10-foot wide is pretty much O'Fallon City standard path width. Occasionally for a greenway path, we'll do a 12-foot, but standard is pretty much 10-foot. From Longwheat towards Meadow Lake, we're extending it to a 14-foot wide shared use path, and that was at the request of Cottleville, and I will say St. Charles County also requested for a larger path width through there, so we are planning to do that. And the 14-foot path width extends from there onto Meadow Lake. We did have 2 areas of tapering down at the intersections, and that is because we have a lot of existing utilities through there. There's a lot of drainage through there, and there is also a lot of neighborhood monument signs. So there's quite 3 or 4 different neighborhoods through there, and they all have neighborhood signs that are difficult to work around. We'd have to relocate them, or we could narrow the path down a little bit, which we ended up going with a 10-foot path through there, just through the intersections, and there's about a 40-foot taper from the 14-foot path. It tapers slowly down to the 10-foot path at the intersections. And the 10-foot sections are there in green boxes, and the rest is the 14-foot path in the red boxes. That's kind of the Highway N shared use path. We've heard a lot of people asking about an extension the other direction towards Highway K. The developments at Highway K kind of have a path end there, and then there's that blank section which I marked in red from where that path ends to where our path starts. So there is a open section. We know quite a few people have expressed interest for the future, so we think that could be a potential for a future path. And then it would bring everyone from that side of O'Fallon back to Highway K and then deeper into O'Fallon, which would be great for us. The major hurdle there would be crossing Archer Alexander Creek too, which we'd either have to go on the road, Highway N, or we'd have to build a pedestrian bridge there too. So just some things for us to start thinking about and looking into. Does anyone have any questions on Highway N?
Any questions? George?
Did Cottleville explain why they wanted a 14-foot wide pathway?
They did. So they do have a lot of pedestrian and then golf cart travel through there. They told us that the golf carts are going to be in the area. They will likely be on the path. They would love for us to plan for that and make sure the pedestrians in our area are safe. St. Charles County expressed the same desire to keep people safe and widen the path. So that's kind of the notion, is there could be an occasional golf cart on the path. Let's widen it out and just keep everyone safe. So that's the direction.
Okay. Are there plans for Highway N on the west side of K, or?
I don't think we have plans for the west side yet. We've kind of started doing just numbers for what it could look like, but we don't have any plans as of yet.
Is there a restriction on the golf carts coming into O'Fallon, distance-wise?
Yeah, so on Highway K, they are larger paths, but they are signed for no motorized vehicles. Realistically, that ordinance of anything over 6 foot could have a golf cart on it unless it's signed. We did not intend to sign this section of the shared use path, but potentially in the future, once we extended deeper into O'Fallon, we could sign it if we wanted to limit motorized vehicles coming into O'Fallon. So we've thought about signing. Realistically, the next phase would be the one, if we were to sign it, we would start signing there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you, Lily.
Thank you.
Nice presentation. Next item is acceptance of monthly reports for February, March, and April of 2026. Do I hear a motion to approve? Do I hear a second? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Next item is future meeting topics. We have the list in front of us here. Anyone have anything they'd like to add? There are a couple items that I'd like to add. One is flock cameras. The city of O'Fallon has numerous flock cameras. And I briefly talked to Sergeant Cook, and he said there wouldn't be a problem if somebody from the police department could make a presentation on that. The other item are drones. I understand that we're going to see drones in the near future in O'Fallon, and if we could have a presentation on drones when that happens. And does anyone else have anything they'd like to add?
Bill, I'd just like to comment, I don't know where this would go, but I've often wondered if there's an enforcement of if there is a no littering program in O'Fallon, and if there is it being enforced? You know, I mean, there's just so much stuff all over the place, and I get really concerned, and I'm just wondering if there is such a thing that people are fined, or to pursue that a little bit more.
That would be a good item to put on the agenda. Anything else? Next, we have closing comments, and on the end down here, I'd like to introduce Bob Galick, our new member to the committee. And Bob, any comments?
Glad to join. I've been looking to get involved, and they said there was a position open. Glad to be here.
Thank you. Wendy?
I would just like to thank all of our people that came by tonight to talk to us, Jim Wensra and Lily and Jeff Cook and his assist, the person that he was with. I didn't get her name, but they all did a fabulous job. And plus, I had attended the May 20th Public Works Fair this year again, and it's just so enlightening seeing all of people there. There was a lot of course, it's a lot of younger people, little people, but also the parents, and I think everyone, young and old, you know, learns from all that stuff, and they have such good exhibits, and you can tell our departments have spent a lot of time in you know, making it fun, but yet have it be a learning experience for everyone. And I was very impressed with the new, is it cement truck that they have? I mean, that was just unbelievable. I mean, it was sitting there, it hadn't been used yet, but what a great concept that is, and all the technology that goes into things like that. I think it was fabulous. So I thank all the people that were involved in that. Thank you.
Scott?
Welcome aboard, Bob. Thank you. Glad to have you. And yeah, good information tonight. I'm glad I was able to see that. That's all I got.
Hey, Chad?
Yeah, once again, thanks everybody for the presentation tonight. Very informative. Welcome, Bob, to the committee. Good to have you here. And since this is our meeting before the 4th, everybody have a safe 4th.
George?
Yeah, Bob, welcome. A wonderful meeting tonight for the O'Fallon Police Department stopping by and getting us to realize what's going on with the e-bikes, and for Jim Warza with update on the recycling, and for Lily Thomas with updates on the greenway paths here in O'Fallon. So wonderful. Thank you.
Ann?
Very well said. Just had a great meeting and appreciate all those who came out. And Bob, thank you for serving and being with us, and hopefully we will learn together. Thank you.
Great meeting tonight, and thanks to all the presenters. And I'd like to ditto Wendy. The fair is a fabulous thing for the city of O'Fallon, and I hope continues in the near future. Thank you. And next, Scott Wilcox, Ward 1. Do you have any comments?
No, just happy to be part of this committee. Just newly elected in April, so looking forward to learning more about what you all do, and I can help in any way, just please let me know. So thanks for letting me be here.
Thank you. Mr. Montgomery, your turn.
Thank you all. Thank you all for coming, as always. Councilmember Wilcox, thank you for joining this group. You got a good group here, very dedicated. Some of them have been on here for a long time, so glad to have you on board. Bob, same with you. A lot of knowledge here. They've been through a lot of presentations over the years. So, as Lily mentioned, next Tuesday at 2, there is the ribbon cutting for the Bush Connector. Please come out. Hopefully we'll have good weather. Heritage and Freedom Fest, speaking of which, 4th of July is coming up, so hope to see some of you all out there as well. So with that, Main Street Phase 3, MoDOT gave us approval. That's from the railroad tracks up to St. Joseph. We'll be resurfacing and making improvements along there. We're waiting for federal approval, then we'll get that project out to bid and should see construction start in probably August, September. So other than that, thank you all.
Okay. Mr. Bender.
Welcome, Bob. Thanks for joining us. I was thinking that in our August meeting, we might want to do a tour of the new Public Works and Fleet facility. So the schedule on that is that we should start moving in furniture on July 20th. Contract completion for the project is August 4th, and employees will move in August 10th. Our meeting would be just after that. So the timing on that is pretty good. Get you guys in there to see the new building and get you a tour of that. So if that's of interest to you, just let us know. And then back on the Public Works Fair, I believe that next year will be the 20th anniversary of starting the Public Works Fair here in O'Fallon. So long time coming.
Very good. Thank you. That being said, any more items? Anyone have anything else to say? No? Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.